answer that common questions that I received, and as well I've seen these questions lots circulating in expert community, investors, foreigners in general, and as well Indonesian people who are curious, wanting to know whether or not a foreigner can purchase and own land and property in Indonesia. What about the ownership title? And what about inheritance possibility? And what about the transferring from right to use to becoming freehold? And what about marrying Indonesian women and man? So everything revolving to foreigners. I hope this video is going to answer that, and if you still have other questions, please feel free to send me on my inbox. So today let's answer based on Indonesian's law and regulations, so that will demystify all that misconceptions or confusions if you might have all this time. So according to Indonesian's law regulations, specifically Peraturan Pemerintah number 103 of 2015, that regarding ownership of residence in the house for foreigners in Indonesia. It will be beneficial, I think, if we define first what are foreigners' definitions according to Indonesian's law. Indonesian's law defines foreigners are non-Indonesians that bring benefit. They work in Indonesia, they invest in Indonesia, they run business in Indonesia. In other words, not written in there, foreigners that bring money, create job, they are given a right to use the land. So exactly that answer the common question number 2. What kind of ownership title? Right to use. So foreigners are not possible to get a freehold right up until today. That hasn't changed. So what about this land or property? For how long that is gonna be? If I've given the right, for how long? That's another common question. That will for 80 years. That is not mandatory. That is not something, it's a must or force. No. Initial 30 years, which extendable for another 20 years, and renewable for 30 years. So in total will be 80 years. That's based on your agreement with the owner, and as well with the price is going to be based on the market, your agreement with the owner. So the question becomes, what about this asset, this property or land? Can be this inherited to the heir, to the beneficiary? The answer is yes, and there could be potential here. If you heir Indonesian, then that would be easy. The right of use is going to be upgraded in BPN to become freehold right if the inheritant heir is Indonesian. If your inheritant heir, however, foreigner, then still possible to inherit, but with term and conditions that persons must obtain or hold stay permit, valid permit. I think that's pretty obvious, right? So now let's talk about this common, a very funny in my opinion, because recently there's someone actually say, oh, I just maybe married Indonesian lady. So if foreigner marry Indonesian man or Indonesian woman, that's not going to change the ownership status over land or property. You are still only can obtain the right to use. And for Indonesians also not going to change. If I marry with foreigner, I still have the right to freehold, but not necessarily is going to be making my partner or my husband to own that land, because there will be prenuptial. And even if I don't make agreement, automatically this land, that will be violations of law if I would be doing that. Okay, I think that's all. Is there any more question?